What vision for the future does Starmer have? Well, that's the problem. Starmer has no vision. Starmer is a truly reactive politician, right? A man who, with no driving force, trying very specifically when we need strong, principled, visionary leadership, when the country feels like it's essentially broken at the seams. He's a man who fundamentally stands for nothing. He believes in nothing. He's a uniquely unsuitable leader at a time of national importance to have somebody with strong principles, with strong values, who will do more than just blow whichever the way wind takes him. Like, case in point, chat. The current discussion is about, like, the flags being raised, Operation Raise the Colours, for example. Now, it did start off in terms of Keir Starmer being leader of the Labour Party. Like, at conference, you put the flag back on the membership cards, you had the flag in the background at the conference, at least in the later conferences. It was clear he was trying to pivot to this progressive patriotism type stuff, but of course, all of the progressive elements of the progressive patriotism, they've all disappeared, because this man is now reactionary as fuck. He's no way an actual progressive, and funnily enough, I don't think he ever really was. He just kind of goes whichever way he gets told to by his handlers. But he's just saying some completely deranged stuff right now. Like, honestly, look at this headline. Look at this headline. Keir Starmer has said he hangs the English flag in his home and always sits in front of a Union Jack. He told the BBC, "I'm very encouraging of flags. I think they're patriotic and a great symbol of our nation." Like, the only people who get convinced by this are the media and idiots. Like, no one is taking any of this with any level of sincerity. Like, no one genuinely believes the kind of stuff that he's saying, fundamentally because no one believes that he has any actual sincerely held opinions, because they always change on a dime. Not only is it embarrassing to say, "I'm encouraging of flags," like, what was the Ash Sarkar tweet? "I'm a supporter of flags. I'm an admirer of plug sockets. I'm a lover of whisks. I'm a respecter of doorbells," right? It's so plainly and obviously see-through and performative, right, that if you get taken in with it, you're an idiot. Like, I'm sorry, if you believe that any of this is being done sincerely, and not because he's trying to lean into the ethno-nationalist kind of fervour that's happening at the moment, where we're literally in a position, look at the kind of shit that's happening. Like, this is what the flag represents in this country at time of recording. And it doesn't have to represent this. Like, of course, I believe that Labour are trying to win people back, but they're trying to ape Farage's rhetoric anyway that's kind of stemmed all of this stuff, The Stop the Boats line has been wholesale accepted by the current Labour Party. It's not that they're trying to dispel what the flag means to these people, when, of course, this wasn't the reality of what the flag meant when it was being hung up at the Jubilee, or when it was being hung up during the World Cup or the Euros, or was being hung up on St. George's Day. There was nobody around attacking brown people or Filipinos in the street like we're seeing at the moment. Brazen, open racism being done to just random members of the public for existing whilst brown, That's the reality of what the flag is representing at time of recording, and it doesn't have to, and it shouldn't have to. It shouldn't have to do that, and it didn't previously, when flags were everywhere in the country during the Jubilee, when there was a moment where, broadly, the nation looked at a bunch of flags and thought this is a symbol of national pride, rather than what we are seeing here, which is vandalism and racist intimidation, right? 100% appeasement is what he's doing here, because, again, he's a man who is just devoid of principles, who is completely unsuited for the moment as we see it. It's embarrassing. It's genuinely embarrassing that I've got such a fucking flaccid member as the leader of this country at time of recording, What's crazy is all the Labourites try and tell you that the reality of Labour's time in government will be borne out by the success of their policies. But people hate the policies. People hate the policies, and they hate the man, right? Like, he's somebody who, look at all of these different instances of someone who is entirely unconvincing, who you can just show anybody, no matter what side of the political aisle that they live on, outside a very tiny sliver of adults in the room centrists, that in the leadership election or before 2020, he was out here going kick Israeli racism out of football. Now he's an open Zionist who's proud to be a Zionist, who does speeches for Labour Friends of Israel, who supports Israel whilst they engage in genocide, who continues to go and meet people like Isaac Herzog, who's been open about his desire to also support Benjamin Netanyahu's quest for greater Israel. So much for liberal Zionism, the fucking biggest oxymoron I've ever heard of, in the time of the 2020 unrest around Black Lives Matter, here he is taking the knee going, I support anti-racism, popular anti-racism efforts. And now the same thing is happening, except far more violent, far more disruptive, over the desire to kick asylum seekers out of the country rather than talking about racism within the police force. Here he is going, I love all these flags. I think it's a great patriotic symbol, and I'm not going to push back on the far right's narrative at all, right? A complete absence of principles. And here he is marching at Pride with a trans flag on a fucking placard, and then later on, here he is wanting to ensure that we are completely removed from society. This is a man who believes in nothing, he stands for nothing, and I'm sure there are probably right-wingers who are watching this video who have clicked on it because I'm going to put up some title about how I think that Keir Starmer is stupid and unconvincing, insincere, and embarrassing for the country, right? There are probably plenty of right-wingers who've clicked on this because they hate Keir Starmer as much as I do, right? And whilst if you're a right-winger, you're watching me, I'm a woke trans person, right? We disagree on pretty much everything, right? But fundamentally, at least we agree that having someone like this, who pretends to stand up for the things that either of us believe in when they think it's going to be politically viable, and then will ditch it the next second as soon as it's deemed politically unviable, is unworthy of leadership, is totally unworthy to lead the country, is totally insincere and an embarrassment. You and I must at least agree on this, that we hate Keir Starmer because he believes in nothing. He's an empty suit, being swung around by opinion polls and focus groups and the desires of McSweeney, McFadden, and whichever new director of communications they're trying to polish the turd with the next day. You and I must certainly at least agree on this. Even though you hate my politics, I hate your politics, at least we all hate Keir Starmer's insincerity. Because at least we both agree that politicians should stand for something. The politicians should put forward a vision. They should have some kind of guiding light rather than just winning for the sake of winning. And what's so frustrating with the flag stuff is that the media just seem to be making it a politically contentious point now. Like, Zach Polanski and Ellie Chowns were asked on Newsnight, do you have a flag in your home? Would you raise a flag in your home? Who fucking cares? Genuinely, who cares? These are politicians. It's about policy. And they were asking Yvette Cooper about this stuff, who gave just as embarrassing an answer as Keir Starmer did.
Do you have a flag on display in your home? On your home?
Yeah. We actually have Union Jack bunting on our garden shed at the moment. I've got St George's flags, I've got St George's bunting, I've got the Yorkshire Rose bunting as well. I've got Union Jack's flags and tablecloths.
Like, literally, she's out here going, I regularly put a Union Jack up my fanny every day. Like, what are you doing, Yvette? What the fuck is this? Just, again, first of all, it's just incredibly cringe and virtue signally and performative to literally try and say that your entire house is covered in flags, right? Like, most people, even the patriotic people who fundamentally believe in national pride, I don't believe in it, whatever, it's up to you, that's your thing, each to their own, right? Most of them just have a flag outside on a flagpole, like hanging from the top of the door frame, No one, unless they're genuinely as cringe as Yvette Cooper, is got multiple different kinds of buntings and tablecloths and a flag and a fleshlight. Like, fundamentally, this is just cringe performative politics. And again, if you believe this, if you believe that what she's saying is correct here, you're a rube. You are a rube. You are being conned. All she's doing is reacting to popular sentiment rather than being genuine or sincere. And again, why is this question being asked and why is she responding this way? I feel like I'm in the fucking Twilight Zone. A national embarrassment. A total national embarrassment. And I think fundamentally, what Zach was saying during his acceptance speech today is what I agree with, right? Insofar as you can hang a flag if you want, you can feel proud of the symbolism of the flag. You can do that. It's not my opinion. It's not my position. I don't care. I fundamentally care about the material, right? I show how much I love my country by supporting policies that help the people in it. I don't love my country. I love the community that I'm a part of. I love what the nation's community is. I love the people who are in the country, and I want them to be happy and fulfilled and prosperous and have their needs met. That's what I love. And whether or not you need a flag to be able to symbolize that, that's up to you. I don't personally do that, but whatever. But fundamentally, any discussion of national pride, any discussion of patriotism, any discussion about bringing this country together needs to rely on more than just a fucking piece of cloth to be able to generate that unity. Because fundamentally, it's not being used as a symbol of unity. It's not being used as a symbol of togetherness and community. It's being used as a symbol of division and hate. It's being used as a symbol with which people will cling to it against the idea of the invading other. I mean, there was a Muslim-owned takeaway, I believe it was, in Liverpool, who put up a flag in their shop window. And you know what? Great. Love it. You can do that if you want. I had a pin which had the Palestinian and Union Jack flags on it because I believe that the UK stands with Palestine, and I fundamentally believe that you shouldn't stay away from the actual broader national position on this, which is that we support the rights of the Palestinian people. That's a broad consensus among the public, and the public is what's important. And the public is what's important, not the government, not the politicians, not the people within the quote-unquote deep state, not that it necessarily exists, but, you know, the people apart from the political and media establishment who push the lies that we don't, right? That's fundamentally the position that I have. And if the Union Jack represents that alongside a Palestinian flag, then by all means, whatever. It's fundamentally doesn't make much difference to me. But whilst this government and its representatives are out here caring far more about performative posturing to try and win over people who are open ethno-nationalists, rather than actually talking and focusing on policy that will make people's lives better and realising the enemy doesn't arrive by migrant dinghy, it arrives by private jet, then fundamentally this country will go downhill quickly. And this Labour government will not be successful because all they're doing is lending credence to the people who oppose everything that they stand for and will never actually vote for them. As a politician in the chat, I should probably declare that I have a flag at my home. My flag is an RMT union flag, as my patriotism means fighting to shift wealth and power to the working class and improve the material condition for workers and improve their lives. That's my patriotism. Exactly. 100%, Councillor Martin Abrams. 100% agree. 100% agree. Because fundamentally, it's the people that matter. The nation is abstract. It's an imagined community, right? But whilst people adhere to it, those peoples within those borders, I want the best for them. And fundamentally, it is unified to me by class politics rather than national politics. What's funny here, this is Anand Menon from the UK in a Changing Europe, a kind of liberal think tank. And it's just interesting to see the reality of the Keir Starmer administration that they all supported being put into sharp relief, right? The government is doing its best at the moment to imply it has no problem with the ethno-nationalism now rearing its ugly head. And I don't understand why. I understand why. They're not going to win back reform supporters who've had enough of mainstream politics, and aren't likely to think Labour are a better answer to multiculturalism than Farage. Neither is taking a stand incompatible with wanting to lower immigration. Actually, if the government sensibly wanted to put more emphasis on integration, part of that would involve pointing out that racism has no place in our society. It's beyond me why the Prime Minister doesn't put out this simple message, hold a reception for prominent non-white British sports people, actors, etc. to underline the well-known and well-liked people of this kind of ugly nationalism effects. It's really not rocket science. Maybe it's because these people don't fucking care, Anand. These people genuinely don't care, and they care far more about going wherever they think the political winds are blowing rather than holding on to their own principles. Like, could have spent any amount of time from the start of the asylum protests until now, making it firm and clear that asylum seekers have the right to be able to seek that asylum, to be able to find safe refuge in the global north where we don't have the same kind of geopolitical conflicts and destabilization that we have in the nations of their birth, right? They could have put their foot down and they chose not to. When people started doing riots, they couldn't have called it thuggery. They could have called it what it was, which was fascism, right? The people trying to burn down migrant hotels were doing pogroms. They could have put their foot down and they did not. When we had people trying to intimidate members of the public who are of minority communities, when we had people doing Nazi salutes in the street, when we have political party leaders calling for hangings for who they deemed as traitors to the ethno-nation, they could have put their foot down, and they haven't. Why do you think, given all the opportunities they've had to put their foot down and they haven't done it, they would do that now, Anand? It's not difficult. Yeah, I couldn't put it better than Jimmy the Giant, friend of the show. An amorphous grey blob with no beliefs, no guiding principles is running our country in a time where the British people are on the edge and in need of real leadership. So true. Hey there, if you enjoyed the video, make sure that you like and leave a comment. That helps the video out in the algorithm. If you subscribe and ring the bell, it'll let you know when I go live. I stream every day on YouTube and Twitch. You can also follow all of my socials down in the description. And if you want to support me in a more financial manner, there's a join button for membership. It's just 99p to be a member on YouTube, as well as a Patreon, and there's some merch there as well. And hopefully I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.